Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. We're excited that you've joined us as we have a conversation. We found that a good conversation allows us to share what's on our mind, whether current events, what's grinding our gears, or our pet peeves.
It also allows us to share our top 3, a list of our favorite things on any given subject, most of which are highly opinionated. In closing, we share a good word. Solid friendships are encouraging. Even if we joke and give each other a hard time, our ultimate responsibility is to uplift each other.
Our goal is that you'll feel like you're part of the conversation, like you were in the studio with us, and that you feel encouraged after tuning in to our podcast. It's time to join the conversation. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Today we've got our 3 segments like we do as normal. Chet,
What's on my mind?
We got What's on Your Mind. Troy's bringing us the good word.
Here.
And today our top 3 is our top 3 90s alternative songs, which apparently Troy had much difficulty.
It's my genre. It's my genre.
It hurt when we did top 3 country music.
But I was incapacitated.
I know, but you still were like, that's a dumb, I don't even have any input for that. That's probably why you came down with COVID during that time.
Just to get away from the top 3. That's correct.
But when we said this, he got really excited, and then he's like, 3's not enough. So I'm prepared for a long list of honorable mentions.
It's really not that long.
Yeah, I mean, because as you were talking about it, I was like, as you were texting, like, this is so hard. I was like, oh, my list is done.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
But your top 3 country might have been a little harder, right? Because you like a lot more country music, right? Being a country boy and all.
Yeah, I mean, it still wasn't that difficult.
I had a hard time, and I narrowed it down. We'll talk about that later.
All right.
Right on.
Chet.
And then Troy's going to close us out with a good word.
I said that.
He said that.
I wasn't.
I covered that.
Chet's not even paying attention today.
How I worded
So my
that
wife
today
was out of town.
was I went primary, tertiary, and then secondary.
He's still on that.
My wife was out of town a few weeks ago, and normally there's a kind of a routine that's come into play whenever I'm responsible for the entire household, food and all that kind of stuff.
Household.
And you do not like that?
I'm responsible of my household all the time.
So had we had honorable mentions on our last podcast?
Of words that annoy you?
Household is one of them. It almost made the list.
So normally, like there's certain things that I would go get at the grocery store, and then our ratio to eating in home to eating out it's gonna increase. We're gonna go. So this time I said, you know what? I'm gonna stick, to we're gonna eat at home every meal. We're not going out at all, and then which means now I have to cook, which I enjoy, and I'm pretty doggone good at it, if I do say so myself. Not as good as my wife, but I enjoy it.
Wait, I did see a post where you did jambalaya and gumbo in the same night.
Yeah, same day.
Same day. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Gumbo I cooked it the other day. It took me about 3 hours.
Yeah,
that's seafood gumbo, because you don't have to marinate, cook the meat for so long.
The jambalaya takes just as long because there's so much prep work with that. There's a lot of
chopping.
Yeah, and you cook the pork first, and then you pull the pork out, and you do some stuff with the onions and whatnot. But we were like, hey, we're just cooking all day today. So we did.
Sweet.
Took the whole day and cooked. But anyway, we're somewhat of a minimalist when it comes to kitchen stuff. Like no instapot, no air fryer. We try to have nothing on our counter. Like nothing's just there to be used. And that got me thinking about all these crazy kitchen gadgets that are out there. There are a lot of them, and I'm sure some of you use them, and I may step on some toes here. Maybe, maybe not.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Because you're an air fryer guy, right? You have an Instapot too, or you were shopping for an Instapot. I remember this before Christmas.
No, what I was looking for was a crock pot for my wife, because the nice one that she had took a dive.
Bit the dust.
So she's been using the one that I had that I brought back from hunting camp.
Yeah.
Just a little cheap one that I bought. and she's been using that one. So I was looking for it, and then I was asking the question because I think I found the answer is that you can't turn the Instapot to a certain temperature. You can't program it like you can a nice crock pot.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's not going to work for me.
No.
And air fryer, I don't personally have one, but I've eaten out of them, and I think that they're perfectly fine.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they're bad. They're not worth buying, in my opinion. Nor are any kitchen gadgets. You should have some skillets and some pots and some pans, an oven and a stove, and you can get by. Like these kitchen gadgets are crazy.
Even a microwave could fall under kitchen gadgets.
Hey, when we remodeled our kitchen, that was on the list of things we're getting rid of.
Yep.
And we almost did, so much so that we don't have a built-in. It's actually tucked away in the pantry, and we got the smallest one you can buy.
Yep.
Because we started even reheating our food in the oven and on the
It
pot.
tastes so much better that way.
Yep. But here I found a list of it's not. I made a list of some of the crazy stuff that's out there for kitchen stuff. So
He didn't have to go searching for this list. He made this list.
air fryer, number one, kitchen gadget you don't need. Instapot, another kitchen gadget that you don't need. The silicone manufacturer, like silicone is like the thing for everything in the kitchen now. Have you noticed this? Silicone spatulas.
I'm sure we have
silicone. One of them's on here. A silicone. A whisk cleaner. Like I'm gonna go buy something just to clean a whisk.
That's what the sprayer's for on your sink.
There is they have this thing called a rapid pizza reheater. It's shaped like a pizza slice, and you put your slice of pizza in it to microwave it to rapidly reheat it.
Let me just tell everybody out there, reheated pizza in the microwave is trash. Get it out.
Maybe you should buy a rapid pizza reheater.
That's trash. That's crap.
Egg separator? Would you buy something to help you separate an egg? Like that's not that hard to get the yolk out of the whites.
You use the shell.
Yes. Or your hand. I mean, my goodness.
Or you can use a 2-liter bottle. You break them all up into a bowl or something. In an empty 2-liter bottle, you squeeze it and you suck the yolks out.
Yeah.
YouTube hacks.
Another hack for that. Take a garlic clove, rub it on your fingers, and you can pick that yolk right up. It sticks to your hand. Pick it right up and out.
Nice.
There you go. We're learning all kinds of things. One of the things that really upsets me, this one is upsetting, the meat shredding claws. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the bear claws?
Like the bear claws. If you can't smoke meat tender enough where you have to use claws to separate it, you need to quit smoking meat.
Now, I will say there are some things that I cook when I cook chicken and I need to shred it. I just use 2 forks.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a smoker.
You don't need to buy something.
I don't need to buy it.
Got
2 forks.
Avocado slicer. Like there's a special tool just to slice avocados.
Knife and a spoon.
There was a special spoon for peanut butter that fits down into peanut butter jars.
That you just use a teaspoon.
I know.
And not like a teaspoon, like a little
strawberry
stick.
huller, like something to help you pull the green part out of a strawberry. Like I'm going to go buy something for that. There's I don't know about this. This is crazy too. Lasagna Trio Pan. Like it is a pan. I've seen this with brownies too, where there's no center pieces. It's just all the pieces are edge pieces because slotted instead of just a normal pan. Like I'm going to take up cabinet space to have a pan that I can only cook lasagna in. That's crazy. They have an electric breakfast sandwich maker where it's like a quadruple decker mini George Foreman, and it toasts your bagel, each end of the bagel, and cooks an egg in one of the deals, and then like heats up like ham or something.
It's pretty lazy.
It's so sad.
I'm actually kind of intrigued by that one.
It's crazy.
And I'm not a breakfast food guy, but
yeah.
Is there pineapple more? Core? There's so much more. A watermelon slicer. They literally have a specific slicer that you could just use on watermelons.
No, I did see there's one for pineapple and watermelons out there that twists down into it.
I have a pineapple corer here that is a waste of money and counter space.
It might be
and
the
drawer space.
twist one. Man, that thing look cool.
Here's one, a silicone again. I thought these silicone manufacturers are going crazy. Oven rack puller. So you can reach in with this special silicone hook and pull out your oven rack to look at whatever it is you're baking. Like, really? Really? You need that?
You might.
But what I have
Don't want to
decided,
burn your hands reaching in there, Chet.
what I have, you use a hot pad. You can't pull whatever's out with that hook. You could only just pull the oven rack out.
Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe it was wet. Did you know if you grab something hot with a wet towel, that heat's coming right through that water on that towel. It's going to burn your hand.
Water conducts heat.
That's right. I'm just telling everybody out there, if you haven't done that,
And electricity.
Yeah.
just be wary, because I did that probably about 10 years ago.
Now I can see a use for that oven puller.
Go ahead and buy one. Go get you one, Matt.
I might.
Do it.
And I know you're only thinking of yourself. I get it. But
Especially on the 2-in-1 mushroom cleaning brush, which is the thing. I need a special brush to clean my mushrooms with.
very well. All I'm saying is there have been times when I've been cooking from my wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
and I pull, so my stove sits up
Mm-hmm.
at basically, if I'm in my chair, it's at eye level.
Right.
I pull it down, and if I'm reaching over to grab something out, I've burnt the crap out of my arm
Yeah.
on the inside of the stove. So if I had a puller, I could pull the rack out and grab something safely.
Well, or if you had a spatula, you could still reach in there and grab the thing and pull it out. You don't have to have a special hook.
Nope, that spatula has a chance to slip off. And then if it slips off, then I burn my whole arm.
So does the hook.
The hook doesn't slip off.
It can.
It hooks it.
It can.
It can, but it's like me fishing. It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, you're only thinking about yourself in this scenario.
I'm thinking
we have
about-
a double
look,
oven,
look, I'm
and my
thinking
wife
about-
can't reach the top one. She has the same issue. She can reach it. She just has the same issue that you have.
She needs a rack
No,
puller.
she doesn't. No, she doesn't. You just reach in there with the.
Now,
with
the one thing on your
you
list.
go to the side. You don't go over the door.
The one thing on your list that we have that we like is the Instapot.
What's different about an Instapot and a pot?
So the Instapot, you can cook potatoes in like 10 minutes.
I could boil potatoes in like 10 minutes in a pot.
I don't boil potatoes.
You're talking about like bake them?
Like bake them.
You can microwave them.
Doesn't taste the same.
You could also schedule your life better to where you could put the potatoes in the oven
Nope, not going to happen with
40 minutes at a time.
not with 7 people.
Okay.
It just doesn't happen. So the Instapot,
So you have an
it does
Instapot.
help.
How many potatoes can you put in there?
Like 8, depending on their size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not an Instapot for you. It's just a potato baker.
No, we use it for other things too, because you can saute in there, and you can
Like a pot or a pan on the
like
stove
you
top.
can use it as a crock pot if you want to.
But it's not as efficient of a crock pot as a real crock pot.
Where do you keep it?
In the cabinets,
Yeah.
bottom cabinet,
You got to get all that stuff down or out.
just out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think you need it. I'm glad you have use for it.
And to me,
What I'm going to do though,
It's made some things quicker, like rice, potatoes, those kinds of things. It cooks rice really well.
no, I'm not going to.
You
So I have eaten.
Throw it all in and
I have eaten rice out of the Instapot.
set it and
and
forget it.
it does come out really nice.
but my rice in a pot comes out really nice.
Yeah, but I honestly don't think that it's any
Quicker?
really any faster. Because
Well, I mean, there's like rice cookers. That's another gadget you don't need.
yeah, I mean, well, and even so, I looked at those too because in the reviews on a rice cooker, if you look at them, all of them have
Terrible reviews.
not terrible, but they're not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying cooking. I can cook it in a pot. The Instapot, you just throw it all in, hit the button. You can go do other things.
So you're not worried about boiling over
Right.
or whatever else.
So I'm doing other things, instead of having to worry about the rice too, I'm doing other things or having to.
I'll give you a pass on that because you have 5 young kids. In your
Yes,
house.
thank you.
I'm not even really. Are you really cooking if there's not a mess? I really don't worry about the boil over either. I just clean it up.
Oh, there's a mess usually when I cook.
All I know is this is the,
My
and I didn't
gumbo.
even go over everything. There's an electric quesadilla maker. That's like another, it's like a waffle iron, but for quesadillas.
I used to have a sandwich maker in high school where you put all the stuff on it and you close it, but it made these like puffed up sandwiches.
Yeah.
And that thing was awesome. I wish I still had that.
Then I'll see. You'd put the slices of bread on the top and the bottom, and then you put your stuff in the middle, and then you toast it.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't have any of that stuff growing up, but my aunt and uncle had it. And whenever I'd spend the night over at my cousin's house, we'd wake up and she'd have, my aunt would have like a bacon and cheese and then buttered both sides of it and then did that little thing. Oh, those are so good.
Yeah. I used to make egg sandwiches in them.
Yeah.
Pizza sandwiches.
I never got that far.
So anyway, this is going to be my Christmas list. This I'm buying off of this list for my Christmas presents next year. So if you get a Spud Dude potato brush, you know who it came from.
A silicone one.
Yes. Yeah. They had
gosh.
double-sided silicone utensils. On one end, it would be a spoon, and on the other end, it would be a fork.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now the air fryer thing, I know a lot of people that got the air fryer, but I've tasted a few things out of it. It just doesn't taste the same.
Well, here's my assumption.
Is it supposed to be healthier, right? Than boiling grease and.
But here's everybody talks about chicken wings in the air fryer. And the question that I have is, did you cook chicken wings before you bought the air fryer? No.
No, they didn't.
So why are you buying stuff to cook things that you don't already cook? Like, because it makes it easier. Well, how do you know? Like, have you ever even cooked
If you
chicken
haven't
wings on
done
your
it,
own?
then you don't know, right?
Yeah. So
They do come out crispier than making them in the oven. Because that's how we do ours. We just, if we're doing wings, we just bake them.
yeah.
We put a good breading on them and bake them. And you can get the tops really crispy, but typically the bottom doesn't. Or you've got to go in and turn them over. Whereas with
That's why you fry them.
which is with the air fryer, you don't. Well, the fryer's a mess.
So
I don't like having to clean up the mess.
You just said you always make them. You're such contradicting yourself there.
anyway,
I don't mind
You're
cleaning
such
up,
a hypocrite,
I don't
Matt.
mind cleaning up water and a little bit of starch.
starch
I
for
don't-
the boiled over potatoes.
But I don't like grease. Trying to clean up grease because
Yeah.
it just gets everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have enough of that problem anyway. If I'm making
Worth it.
infused oils or something like that and throwing thyme into oil and then
All I know is
explodes on you.
I enjoyed my time in the kitchen. It was a lot of fun. I normally cook things that actually all the stuff that I cook is typically stuff that my wife doesn't cook at all. So the kids enjoy the change of pace as well. Normally splurge. I didn't this time, but normally like then whole milk, white bread, and bologna come into the house whenever Ashley leaves because the kids dig it all. Well, actually, I don't think they like the white bread.
Do your
And
kids like Vienna sausage?
No, not necessarily.
Oh man, I love it.
Yeah.
Audrey loves it.
I mean, the only time they've had it is when we've been out of the deer camp because
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like
when I
that.
normally can get it if we're going camping. Or
I
something.
I think I've told you guys this before, but when my parents moved up here to Wichita, my kids would go stay with them every now and then. And Stone came home, it's years ago. And he's like, Mom and Dad, oh my goodness, there's this lunch meat. It's called bologna. It is so good. And like he thought that was like something new because he'd never had it in his entire life because
Right.
Ashley will not buy bologna. I'm like, Stone, I grew up on bologna. And he's like, Grandma had some and she made me a sandwich and it was really good. And I said, did she fry it? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, we're going to fry some bologna. And so I cooked him a fried bologna sandwich the next time Ashley was out of town. And he's like, man, this is the best ever. Like, yes,
Nice.
it's good.
Very good.
Anyway, that's what's been on my mind.
Well, thanks for sharing, Chet. Thanks for sharing.
I think we ought to go to break.
I don't. But we will. At Admiral's Pennant, our mission is to offer the latest and refined, high-quality masculine products and services to the modern gentleman, as well as provide him with the tools and products necessary to look, act, and feel confident in his appearance and social interactions. Check it out at admiralspennant.com. Without it, you might as well shave.
All right, we're back.
We are back.
The moment Troy has been waiting for.
Yes, I'm excited about this top three.
It's like all the research was this top three alone.
Yeah.
I feel like you put more into this one than any other top three that we've ever done.
I really didn't.
And it wasn't determining what he liked. It was like, how do I narrow it down to three?
Yeah. And I narrowed it down to three by things that happened in my life around these songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah.
All right. Well, number 3 is a song titled Rearview Mirror by Pearl Jam. One of my absolute favorite songs that they have ever written. They are, in my opinion, one of the top 3 alternative bands ever.
Of all time.
Yeah, ever. Still around today. Still making good music. That's debatable.
Yeah.
But I picked Rearview Mirrors off their second album. I picked a song off their second album. Their whole first album was amazing. But I really think that their second album is probably one of the best follow-up albums to a hit record probably ever.
It start with a V, the first one?
The first one is called 10.
Yeah, okay.
And the second one is Versus.
Okay.
VS.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. And Rearview Mirror is on that album. Every time they play it live, I've seen them live probably 4 or 5 times. Crowd goes nuts to this song. They have a couple of different renditions. Sometimes they'll throw in other songs in the middle of it and do like a long, whatever you call that, whatever that musical term is, but they'll throw in different songs, even from other bands. They'll play in the middle of that.
So what was your life event? Did I miss that?
Oh, the life event behind this album. I remember the day it came out. My dad took me to the local Kmart and I went and purchased that album with my allowance money.
Ooh.
And was so excited.
Was it a CD or a tape?
CD.
Okay.
At this time CDs were out.
Yeah.
And I just looked all over it, read the lyrics before I even got home to play it because we didn't have a CD player in the car, of course.
Yeah.
Had to wait till I got home. But
my memory on 10 was I went to Ohio. It was with my mom to see my grandma. And my cousin Randy was like, hey, you want to go up to Cedar Point, which is like the best roller coaster amusement park in the world. And it was in May. And we're like, yeah, it was like, 2.5 hour drive from where we were. And he had 10. That was it in the tape deck. And it just
repeated over and over.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time we got back home, I knew the whole album. It was pretty neat.
It's a really good one. Front to back. Both those albums are phenomenal. So, and
Matt, do you know who Pearl Jam is?
Yes.
Okay.
And one more side note, Versus is still the album today that I'll turn on if I'm, driving late and need to get back home, driving late from deer hunting or whatever. I'll turn that on and I won't fall asleep.
Oh, wow.
Driving.
Cool.
I know every lyric.
You're singing it all.
Rocking out to it. Yeah. So, all right. Number 2, Plush. Stone Temple Pilots.
STP.
Yes. So Plush is probably my favorite song that they sing, that they created. It's one of the first songs I ever learned how to play on a guitar.
Yeah.
And about when this song came out is about when I got a guitar.
Cool.
So that's why it made the list. And number 1.
I have a pretty good idea of the band.
The band is Nirvana.
Yep.
And the song
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
It Smells Like Teen Spirit. Because I'd already been introduced to, rock and roll, Guns N' Roses, and a couple other phenomenal bands, and Pearl Jam. I'd been introduced to them. And very close to that time, a good friend of mine, Lane Stevenson, if you're listening, he bought me the Nevermind album for my birthday that year. We were in 7th grade. And I was like, what is this? This is incredible. This music, like the whole album's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But Smells Like Teen Spirit, I think, stayed on, the MTV video number 1 for months.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I just remember that song. Just hearing just the new grunge alternative sound that they brought to alternative music just blew my mind, blew me away. Love it.
I'm glad you do. I'm glad somebody does.
Yeah.
Somebody has to.
There's a lot of us out there that love it.
Yeah. I think Nirvana's overrated. But
Yeah, they're not, and they were not. But that's our humble opinions. You're entitled to have your opinion.
I am entitled.
You're entitled to be wrong.
I am. I am.
I started liking Nirvana that much more just now.
Yeah, just now.
Like I like their music, and Smells Like Teen Spirit's a great song. And there were a couple that I looked at that they're for me to be honorable mentions, but not.
Yeah, speaking of, man, give me a couple that didn't make the list.
Oh, have you ever heard of a band called Hum?
No.
Okay, their song Stars off their, I believe it was their
Was
first,
it easy to learn
first
the
album.
lyrics?
No.
I get it.
They didn't hum. I get it. That's really good. That would have been probably my number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Soundgarden.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all those bands back early 90s. I mean, all the bands from Seattle.
Yeah.
Usually,
Mostly.
most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hippies.
Yeah. But
All right, Matt.
We sure? Okay. Number 3 is Misery. Soul Asylum.
oh yeah, that's a good one.
And same thing as you. I mean, this was back when I was riding the bus to school, and that song was on the radio every 2 minutes.
The radio on the bus?
Yep. Yep. So we would rotate.
Only city buses played rock stations.
See, we would
Right.
My bus, my country school bus was on KRRV 100.3 classic country.
see we had to rotate through the stations, and so Monday was this day, and then if this certain person wasn't riding the bus, then we got to go to
What you wanted to go to.
whatever, but he would rotate through the radio stations, which was
So to this day, every time I get frustrated about something, or my wife and I are talking about something that's frustrating, I'll sing Frustrated Incorporated.
it's just the lyrics are just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soul
very,
Asylum.
very, very smartly put together.
Very good band. Yeah.
And then number 2 is Zombie.
Yeah.
By the
Cranberries.
Cranberries. Yeah. Been so many renditions of that song since it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But the way that her voice is able to do what she does, it makes the song addictive to listen to.
Yeah.
And then just
That's a good one.
the guitar line in it, it gets you.
The Lick.
The lick.
Yeah. I like it.
And then number 1 by a band that you actually mentioned, Spoonman
Ah.
by Soundgarden.
Yeah.
All my friends are brown and red. Spoonman.
Spoonman. That's a good one. They got a lot of really good ones.
I thought about
Bad
putting,
motor
They
figure.
play the rhythm with their bones.
because we narrowed the things down so small, I thought about just putting Hunger Strike by Temple of the Dog so you can get Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder.
in the
You know?
same.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's-
But I
that's
didn't.
smart.
I didn't. I guess that'd be an honorable. You have any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
I do actually. And I wrote these down wherever they're at. So I had Shine,
Yeah.
Collective Soul.
Mm-hmm.
and
That one was way overplayed. Like way overplayed. But I hear
Well,
it
I
now.
mean, all these were. If you listen to the radio.
Yeah, but some of these were not like on the pop stations, and Shine was. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah.
then I had and there were a few honorable mentions from this band, but the one is Zero by Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if
Their whole album, Siamese Dream, like that, I consider that album one song. Like that is a phenomenal album,
yeah,
front to back.
yeah. And this was back in the day too, when like you were saying, you went to the store to buy the CD.
Yeah.
You know, that's when we all had we were graduating from the Walkman tape deck to
the Discman.
the Discman.
Yeah.
And when you're riding on the bus to basketball games or something like that, you know, and everybody's swapping CDs and, you know, check out this one that I got, you know, and it's just, I think there's a little bit more to that than, hey, sharing a link to a song or whatever it is. There's just something about putting that CD in and hearing the album as a whole instead of taking one part of it out. And so I think the musicians back then were a little more careful about how they put songs together, which is why Garth Brooks doesn't have his stuff, because he doesn't want you just to buy one song. He put that whole album and created that whole album together, and he didn't want those songs separated because they were meant to be played in that order.
Yeah. Well, that's why Tool for so many years didn't put their stuff on iTunes or anything too, because their whole albums are like just orchestrated from front to back.
Yeah.
I mean, just incredible.
And then the last honorable mention, I don't know if he's technically alternative, but Tom Petty,
He's not.
Mary Jane's Last Dance. It's
Nah.
kind
He's
of
totally not
got a little
alternative.
alternative feel to
No,
it.
it doesn't.
A little bit.
That's a good song.
I would put him under what? Folk rock, probably. Tom Petty.
Or rock. I mean,
Rock.
He's rock.
Yeah.
This his greatest hits album is a
But that's
great
kind of,
driving.
but that's kind of where I
You put
land
that in a
with
drive.
Stone Temple Pilots. I think they're almost a little bit more rock than they are.
No, they're alternative.
Yeah.
Crazy talk. All right, one of my honor. So this is what I did. I only looked at 1 year in the 90s.
91?
1994.
94.
Big year.
Docking Bay 94.
Really, really big year. Now I'm going to, this one didn't make the top 3 because I'm cheating a little bit. The album was released in late 1993, but this single was not released until 1994 off of the album Round Here by Counting Crows.
Oh, yeah. Phenomenal. That's a great album, too.
Love that album.
Yep.
Really
Man, I
good
think
album.
just the 90s albums.
The 90s had
Man,
some
give
good,
it up.
had some good music.
So number 3, Better Man, Pearl Jam.
Yep.
Yeah.
1994.
That's another song they play and do a long middle part where they add other songs to it. Yeah.
Sounds like their concerts are like Dave Matthews Band concerts and just play forever.
Nah,
Like a song could go 10, 12, 15 minutes.
They'll do that. They'll do that with like 1 or 2 songs,
Yeah.
and then they'll usually play.
Is that called an interlude?
Maybe
Is that what that's called?
if you're musically inclined, drop a comment and let us know. But they'll usually play 1 of 3 songs at the end as well, and you don't know what 3 of the favorite songs that they're gonna do. It's usually Yellow Ledbetter, Bob O'Reilly by The Who, and I can't think of the third one right now, but yeah. And they may have changed that. I haven't gone to see him in 20 years.
Number 2, Big Empty by the Stone Temple Pilots.
Yes.
It's hard to pick a Stone Temple Pilots song.
Big Empty was that the one that was on the Crow soundtrack?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a phenomenal soundtrack
Yeah.
if you like alternative music.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting movie too. Got a little different direction here. Number 1, No Rain, Blind Melon.
Oh. Another, yeah.
Sing that one all the time when it comes on.
Yeah. Not even their best
Love it.
album, but really good one. I would say their Nico album is the best.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the one that they released right before he died.
And it wasn't in 1994 though.
That's
and
true.
I was bound to
Down
1994,
to 1994.
which was a very good year for me.
I mean, you could do top threes of alternative music
Each
year
of the
and
90s
still have
decade.
some phenomenal music. Yeah. Wow.
So one of the things we're wanting to do, we did this with our, and actually I just, I was at a New Year's Eve get together, on New Year's Eve, weeks ago. And,
Is that January 31st
or
December 31st?
Yeah, every year.
Every year.
Every year. Yeah, it would have worked better if you wouldn't have messed up the month.
I screwed it up. We're in January.
But they were listening to it. They had their own little playlist, and it was like classic country stuff and a couple of the songs that are on our listener provided top
Spotify playlist.
classic country songs that we put out on Spotify. So I was able to, if you like that, you'll like it here. And so I was able to forward the playlist to Spotify. So I think what we would like from our listeners on this one is to show us in the comments what your 3 favorite 90s alternative songs are. And then we will develop another hard-headed listener-provided playlist that we'll put out on Spotify and share.
I like it. I'll play this one.
I'll go ahead. I'm not going to let Troy add anything more to it because I know you probably just go through and give me 100 different songs. But the honorable mentions and our each of our top threes.
Put Stars by Hum in there for
I already have it written down.
Yeah, good. That's a good one.
I'd have Hum. I didn't remember the
Stars is the
So anyway, so stay tuned. You gotta provide it though. Right now it'd be a short playlist. So give us some.
And it was I couldn't find it. What'd you say from? Was it Rearview?
Rearview Mirror, Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
Yep.
I have to listen to that one because I can't recall just off the top of my head.
I'd sing it for you, but I don't want to
do it later after we turn off the recording.
Listeners tune out. I'll start.
Here,
singing.
hold on. Let's pause real quick. Go ahead.
Although I was in a band from age 15 to about 28, 3 different bands.
Yeah, I was about to say it can't be the same band because
I was lead singer.
Yeah.
So
Fontanelle Jackson.
That's right. It's my last band I was in. Yeah,
I thought that was your stage name.
Which one? So did everybody that listened to it. Like, hey, Fontanelle, and like, no, dude, that's like a part of the head for
Yeah. So the reason we named the band that is because the bass player is a
like a doctor,
not an OBGYN, but he's a surgeon, female doctor surgeon. I don't know
whatever.
I can't remember what
obstetrician.
Maybe
whatever.
Anyway, so
sure.
Yeah, so he brought the term Fontanelle to the table, and we didn't want to just be called Fontanelle, so we threw Jackson on the end of it, and it sounded better.
So everybody thought that he was Fontanelle Jackson, which ought to be like your username on everything that you can
it should
assign
be.
your username.
I'm going to start
for.
doing that for gaming and stuff, which I don't do a lot of anyway. But
OFJ.
Oh,
anyway,
man.
All right, you got a good word for us? Troy?
I do. So we are back in the Chosen 40 Days with Jesus book 2. And if you have it and you're with us, we did the reading on day 2 called Among Us. And this is talking about telling the story from John 5, 2 through 9, where the man is sitting at the side of the pool, waiting on it to bubble so he can run and get in and be healed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they all thought back in the day that this pool had miracle powers to heal the sick and the lame and the blind and all that stuff. And this guy was paralyzed. And so he was there for 38 years. And he was just sitting there by the side of the water waiting to try to hopefully get in.
Yeah.
And you got to think at some point he just kind of gave up because he's paralyzed and he could never beat people that weren't paralyzed to the water to get healed.
Yeah.
And so
and just a little context
yeah,
here.
go for it.
I first time I read this, I was like, this is crazy. People to think that the water has healing powers, and there's all kinds of theories on, like if an angel actually came by and touched the water and made it boil or whatever else, until, heck, this is 18 years ago. Ashley and I went up and had a long weekend in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a national park, number one, but the Hot Springs, like FDR was coming to these hot springs because of the known healing qualities of the minerals in the hot spring water.
Right.
So
it's still a thing.
Taking a biblical story and thinking, well, there's a bunch of idiots around thinking that if you got in this water when it was agitated, that it would heal you. And then you go to like 19, decades. Like it's a national park now because of the spring. You still go and bathe in the springs. They have bathhouses built around them and all this kind of stuff. So this is not like crazy and far-fetched for people to think that it being in mineral water, hot springs, natural hot springs are going to provide some healing. So, it's not outlandish. This scenario that's being given to us here in the book of John.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's a good insight.
Well, to kind of bounce off of that a little bit, just triggered something. They didn't have really access to hot water all the time, right? And so, at the end of the day, when you're like, man, I hurt all over, and you go take a hot shower. So I imagine jumping in
or bath,
yeah.
Whatever, they didn't have, well, I don't know if they had showers or not. Somebody pouring water. I don't know.
They could. Yeah.
They could have. But I don't know, just something I thought about.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So with this guy at the waters, Jesus shows up in the passage and he just asks the man, hey, do you want to be healed?
Yeah. You want to read the passage?
Oh, I can. So John 5:2-9, there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool in Aramaic called Bethsaida, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I am going, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Get up, take your bed, and walk." And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. So he was healed instantly. But what I noticed about the passage is, and they talk a little bit about it here, but he didn't answer the question.
Yeah.
Right? Jesus said, "Do you want to be healed?" Well, the man didn't really answer the question verbatim. He gave excuses. Like, I can't get down to the water. Everybody gets into the water before me. But the cool thing I like about the passage is Jesus healed him anyway. Even though he had excuses. And they also talk about in here, in Sunday school, when you look at the passage, it's like, oh yeah, he was healed. But there's also kind of the sad part about it is for 38 years, this dude laid here.
Yeah.
And tried to get in the water, and so he was kind of beaten down and just had no hope, until Jesus showed up.
Well, and not just, Jesus took action too. He didn't seek Jesus out.
Right.
And then thinking that in the scenario, the only healing is going to come if I can get to the water. So what do I have to do to there's a lot of excuses why I can't get there, but if these circumstances played out, then I can get to the water. And then the assumption was if I got there, I'd be healed. And what our knowledge would be is that still wouldn't be true for this guy. Cause although minerals in water is healthy, it's not necessarily causing people that can't walk to walk. Right. So, he's still thinking about what am I going to do here, to make this happen? Like I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to wait. I'm still hoping that nobody cuts in front of me and somebody would help me when the time comes. But it's still dependent upon me. And the man that can heal you is there. He's the one that approaches them. And then I think it's a crazy question. Would you like to be healed? Like, I don't know. Like, it's like asking my kids at 7:00 at night, are you hungry? Like, there's no point asking. We know they are, right? I mean, why even ask? Because you know. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There's a weird tie-in as I was reading this one as well. So, lost my legs in Afghanistan, came back home, and
they still hadn't found them yet either.
Nope, they're still gone.
They're still lost.
They're in a burn pit somewhere. But did my recovery and learned to walk again at Naval Medical Center San Diego, which is also Bethesda. So, just kind of a weird.
Yeah. Healing waters of Bethesda.
Very cool.
Personal tie-in to me.
I like that. So the nice thing about this passage, about this story is, like, that guy had 38 years, didn't know about Jesus. We have Jesus now, and we can call on him and ask him for help in any situation, in anything that we're going through. And so good question would be, what circumstances are you managing on your own strength and your own power? Are you relying on Jesus, or are you trying to do everything yourself? And if you are, or if you're not, a good prayer to pray is from Jeremiah 17:14. It says, Heal me, O Lord, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved, for you are my praise. Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.